10 ways the book, The Godfather, is different than the movie. Number 1. Mama Corleone. In The Godfather, Parts 1 and 2, Mama Corleone has barely a few lines, but when she tells Connie, "You go see your children first, and then you worry about waiting online to see your brother like everybody else," she says it in perfect English. In the book, she has heavily accented broken English and often yells in Italian to comic effect. For instance, when Michael goes on the lam to Sicily, Kay keeps calling the house, and Tom and Sonny keep telling her they don't know where Michael is. Kay shows up in person and is received by Tom, who refuses to accept the letter Kay has written to Michael. Mama Corleone comes home, and the first thing she does is yell at Tom for not offering Kay food, saying, "You don't even give this poor girl coffee, you disgrazia." When Kay is about to leave, she gives Mama Corleone the letter. Puzo writes, "Hagen started to protest, and she screamed at him in Italian." 2. The heads of the 5 New York families all have big bellies. At the meeting with the heads of the 5 families, Tom Hagen was struck by how imposing and impressive the bosses were than the out-of-towners, the Hicks. Puzo writes, "The New York Dons were all men with a belly, meaning figuratively power and courage, and physical flesh, as if the two went together. The 5 New York Dons were stout, corpulent men with massive leonine heads, features on a large scale, fleshy, imperial noses, thick mouths, and heavy folded cheeks. They were not too well tailored or barbered. They had the look of no-nonsense men without vanity." 3. McCloskey's death. After Michael kills Sollozzo, Puzo writes, "Only 1 second had gone by as Michael pivoted to bring the gun to bear on McCloskey. The police captain was staring at Sollozzo with phlegmatic surprise, as if this had nothing to do with him. He did not seem to be aware of his own danger. His veal-covered fork was suspended in his hand, and his eyes were just turning on Michael. And the expression on his face, in his eyes, held such confident outrage, as if now he expected Michael to surrender or to run away, that Michael smiled at him as he pulled the trigger." 4. Kay leaves Michael after he lies to her about having Carlo killed. After Michael lies to Kay and says, "It isn't true," when she asks him directly if he had anything to do with Carlo's disappearance, she leaves him the following morning, taking the children with her to her parents' house in New Hampshire, without telling anyone, without really knowing what action she intended to take. Michael had immediately understood. He had called her the first day, then left her alone. Tom Hagen arrived in a limousine a week later to try and convince her to come back. Kay was sarcastic with Tom, asking him, "Did Mike send you up to threaten me? I expected to see some of the boys get out of the car with their machine guns to make me go back." Tom was truly angry, responding with, "That's the worst kind of juvenile crap I've ever heard. Come on, Kay." They talked, and Kay said, "He's not the man I married." Tom replied, "If he were, he'd be dead now." Kay finally asks Tom to take her back to the compound with the kids, and they go. 5. Johnny Fontaine. Johnny, after getting the part in Jack Waltz's movie, wins the Academy Award. Hagen then urges him to stop thinking of himself as just a singer, but a producer, a guy with muscle. He does so, becoming a major Hollywood player. In the movie, Johnny complains that his voice is weak, and he says, "I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do." The Don famously slaps him. But it turns out Johnny really does have something wrong with his voice, vocal warts. In the book, he has an operation to fix it, and he starts making hit records again. Johnny also has a sidekick named Nino Valenti, a friend since childhood. With the Don's urging, Johnny has Nino leave his job on a gravel truck to come out to Hollywood and make movies. Nino becomes a big star, but is disillusioned by Hollywood's artifice and begins to drink heavily. He eventually dies of a stroke. 6. Bonasera's revenge. Paulie Gatto and 2 ex-boxers exact revenge for the beating and attempted rape of Amerigo Bonasera's daughter. The 2 guys who beat up Bonasera's daughter are named Jerry Wagner and Kevin Moonen. Paulie Gatto shows up at a bar where the two young men hang out and witnesses them being blown off by the women there. One of whom says, "Are you crazy, Jerry? I'm not getting in any car with you. I don't want to wind up in the hospital like that other poor girl." The two men leave, and Paulie taunts them with, "Hey, Casanova, those broads really brushed you off." The two men pounce on the much smaller Paulie, who smashes one of them on the nose with brass knuckles, after which the ex-boxers grab the men from behind and spend about 5 minutes beating them to the point where each must spend months in the hospital and require plastic surgery. 7. A witness to Fanucci's death. Sonny, age 16, is running wild, getting into all sorts of trouble on the street, and finally being arrested. Vito begins lecturing him, and Sonny calmly and defiantly responds, "I saw you kill Fanucci." Vito realizes at that moment that Sonny has to be brought into the family business. He has Clemenza show him the ropes and make his bones to ensure that Sonny cannot, at some later date, turn against his father. 8. Carlo Ritzy. In the book, Carlo Ritzy is a big, muscled guy with blonde hair. He's also, says Puzo, a punk sore at the world. He thinks to himself that man to man, he could easily take Sonny. He is bigger and heavier than Sonny. But Puzo says Sonny had a viciousness that Carlo lacked. Sonny could easily murder an enemy, whereas Carlo would have to summon all his will to kill a person. This knowledge made him respect and fear Sonny. Puzo says that the fact that he didn't fight back when Sonny gave him a beating probably saved his life. Carlo also has contempt for Don Corleone, thinking, after Vito's shooting, he hoped the old bastard croaked. 9. Michael's injuries. Michael suffers a broken jaw and 4 broken teeth from McCloskey's punch, and he has to be hospitalized overnight. He is left profoundly disfigured, his nose constantly drips, and he is embarrassed by his appearance when he meets Apollonia in Sicily. After Michael's return to America, everyone in the immediate family, except Don Corleone and Kay, pester him to have his face repaired surgically. Mama Corleone even shouts at him during one dinner, "You look like a gangster in the movies! Get your face fixed for the sake of Jesus Christ and your poor wife, and so your nose will stop running like a drunken Irish!" Kay doesn't mind the disfigurement. She knows that on some level, Michael desires it. But she also points out to Michael that their young children will soon be old enough to understand their father's broken face and will be frightened or embarrassed by it. Michael gets the surgery, which successfully restores his face and stops his nose from running all the time. Only the Don is unimpressed, shrugging his shoulders and asking, "What's the difference?" 10. Michael has a different take on the phrase, "It was business, not personal." Puzo quotes Michael as saying, "Tom, don't let anybody kid you. It's all personal, every bit of business. Every piece of shit every man has to eat every day of his life is personal. They call it business. Okay, but it's personal as hell. You know where I learned that from? The Don, my old man, the Godfather. If a bolt of lightning hit a friend of his, the old man would take it personal. He took my going into the Marines, personal. That's what makes him great, the great Don. He takes everything personal, like God. He knows every feather that falls from the tail of a sparrow, or however the hell it goes. Right? And you know something? Accidents don't happen to people who take accidents as a personal insult. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.